Hey, Du Bois families, it's me again, Mrs. Eddy, and we are jumping back into our book, Stella. Diaz has something to say. We are on chapter 10 already. Let's get started. Chapter 10. The next day, Nick and I wait at home while Mom picks up my relatives at the airport. She doesn't take us because she says we'll get bored at the airport. Because my relatives are coming in from a different country, they have to go through customs, which is where they check you to make sure you are not bringing any illegal goods into the country. It can take a really long time. This trip, it's only Mom's sister, my tia Juanice, and my abuelo Apolinar. I haven't seen them in 2 years, so I'm a little nervous. Abuela rarely comes because she's very particular and doesn't like traveling anymore. She'd rather just stay at home playing cards. It would be easier if it were my tia Margarita visiting. She comes more often because she travels the world all the time and sometimes stays over in Chicago for a day or two in between her trips. Of all my relatives, she speaks English the best, so I like talking to her the most. She also is very creative, a professor, and speaks 4 languages. I want to be as smart as her when I grow up. While she's gone, Mom puts Nick in charge of watching the turkey. My job is to set the table. I know that's because I have an artistic eye. Nick doesn't know how to fold the napkins into triangles like they do in the fancy restaurants on TV. I even make little name tags in the shape of a turkey for everyone's seat. For a while, the house is quiet and I am able to draw. Part of me wants to hide in bed with a book instead of doing Thanksgiving. I feel anxious, almost like it is the first day of school again. But before I go home, I hear the front, sorry, but before I go hide, I hear the front door. Hola, mi amor, says Juanice in a loud voice. She swallows me up in a big hug and kisses both my cheeks. I can't see anything because of her fuzzy sweater, but I can smell her perfume. Juanice wears a lot of makeup. That's different from Mom, who only wears a little makeup when she goes to work. Juanice pulls away from me, then goes to Nick. I can finally see that she's wearing a crazy patterned sweater and leggings. Her short red hair looks wilder than I have ever seen it. Hola, que guapo, she says as Nick beams. Let's look at that word beams. So it means you are proudly showing a big smile. So she said something very nice to him. He likes being called good looking. Juanice gets along really well with Nick. She used to take care of him after school when we lived in Mexico City. I sit on the couch and draw while Nick talks to Juanice in Spanish. I don't get a chance to talk to my family as much. To them, I am just the artista who makes drawings. They don't really know me like they know Nick. He was in first grade when we left, while I was just a baby. They don't know what questions to ask me, like what is my favorite fish or my favorite book. And even if they did, I wouldn't know how to tell them in Spanish. So I let them talk without me. Abuelo walks in next with Mom. He is a little slow because he has a limp from losing one of his legs in a bus accident when he was my age. He manages to get around everywhere thanks to his wooden leg, but he never complains about it. Even when he takes his wooden leg off at night, he whistles as he hops into bed. Hola, qué preciosa está Stella, Abuelo says. When he calls me pretty, I have to admit I feel a little less weird. He puts down his guitar and laughs a big belly laugh as he hugs me with both arms. Abuelo sniffs the air. ¿Dónde está la comida, Nick? Abuelo is obviously hungry as he hugs Nick. Casi, says Mom, which means the food is almost ready. She takes Abuelo's bag and guitar to Nick's room. Abuelo always brings his guitar when he visits. He used to be a performer in Mexico, playing on a radio program. We freshen up real quick, and I also feed Pancho. Happy Thanksgiving, I say as I drop an extra food pellet. Then Mom says, Está listo, announcing that the food is ready. Everyone sits down at the table as Mom brings out the dishes. There's turkey, cornbread stuffing, mashed potatoes, and roasted vegetables. We even have sweet potatoes with marshmallows. Mom says she saw the recipe in a cookbook, but I think it's weird. My favorite things to eat are the dishes that are not American. We make this stuffing called picadillo, which is ground meat and aceitunas. The olives make it feel special, like it's our own treat. Mom also makes elote, corn on the cob with crumpled Mexican cheese on top. I want to dig in, but Mom says we have to say what we are grateful for first. Everyone says a few things in Spanish. When it comes to my turn, I just say very quietly, Mi familia. I feel as shy as I do when I'm at school, but this is different. At school, I'm only shy about saying the words right. But here, around my family, I just don't have the words to say everything I want to say. If I could have said what I'm grateful for in English, I would easily have gone on and on. There's so much, like all the sea creatures in the sea, Mom, Nick, and Jenny, my best friend. But I can't, not in Spanish. I do try sometimes, but when I try to speak Spanish, Juanice will finish my sentences for me. Like when I say, quiero, I say looking at the picadillo. Mas pavo? Says Juanice, who starts putting more turkey on my plate, which is not at all what I wanted. I push my turkey around with my fork. It's hard to want to talk when people aren't even listening to you. We eat until we're stuffed like pavos. Okay, let's look at that word again. We've had it already, but I want to show it to you one more time. Oh, pavos. So they're stuffed like turkeys, just like this guy who looks really big. Mom decides to look at photo albums before dessert. Vamos a mirar fotos de la familia. It's funny to see pictures from before I was born. Everyone is wearing different looking clothes, not to mention their different hairstyles. Both Mom and Dad had long hair. Nick had blonde hair instead of the dark brown hair he has now. There are even pictures of Dad with his family and Mom's family. Nick points to a picture. He is hitting a piñata with Dad, Abuelo, and my dad's brother Carlos. I remember that. That was when I turned 4 years old, he says. And these are the puppets I had at my birthday party. He points to the picture with these amazing wooden puppets. Mom, Juanice, and Abuelo nod. Nick remembers so much. On another page, I see another picture of Abuelo, Tio Carlos, and a woman I don't know toasting. Mom, who is that? I ask. Oh, that's your Abuelo Carmen on your dad's side. Her hair is a little different there. That's probably why you didn't recognize her. I've only seen Dad's parents once since we've moved to the United States. While the grown-ups talk, I ask Nick, is Tio Carlos nice? He is. Or at least, he was back then. He'd play football with me and Dad. Okay, so football, let's look at that really quickly because it actually does not mean what you probably are thinking. So, football in a lot of other countries, especially in Central and South America, is actually soccer. So, if we were talking about what we call football, then it would be football Americana, which is American football. But in this language, football is actually soccer. I sort of remember seeing my Tio. He used to live near us. We'd see him regularly until my parents divorced. Then we stopped seeing him and he moved to Colorado. Mom flips to pictures of when I was born. These are my favorites. I love seeing the pictures of me with tiny little bows in my hair. Everyone agrees that I was the cutest baby. There are also photos of everyone holding me, including Nick. He leans over and messes up my hair. The baby, Juanice says. She touches my arm and gives me a kiss on the cheek. She immediately wipes the pink lipstick off my cheek and grabs my chin. Tú sabes que soy tu segunda madre, Stella, Juanice says. Sometimes she likes to tell me she's my second mother. I nod my head. See. Juanice might not always listen, but I know she loves me. After we've given our stomachs a break, we eat 3 different kinds of pie: apple, pecan, and pumpkin. I show Juanice and Abuelo my drawings of the animal project while we eat. Que bueno! Abuelo says they are really good. He especially likes my manatee. Now, manatee might be an animal that you do not know, so let's see what those look like. So, manatees are a large mammal that lives in the ocean, and they are also known as sea cows. So, here's a picture of a mama manatee with her little baby manatee. So cute. Nick then begs Abuelo to play the guitar, and he begins to play many songs I know. I love singing along, but sometimes I stay quiet to watch Mom sing. She looks so happy singing with her dad. Mom looks at me. You know, when I was your age, your abuelos would have these amazing parties. Abuelo and all his musician friends would sing all night. But what about your bedtime? Mom laughs. She translates what I said to Abuelo and Juanice, and it makes them laugh too. Ay, Stella, says Abuelo. I tap Mom's arm. Why is that funny? Mom sees that my eyebrows are raised up. Don't worry, mi chiquita. It was just cute. Things are a little different in Mexico. Families throw more parties, and people are a little less strict about with bedtimes. I wouldn't mind that, says Nick. I don't say anything. Part of me wishes we never left Mexico. Sure, the parties and less strict bedtimes would be great, but I also think things would have been easier. We would see each other all the time instead of once every other year. If I lived near them, then they would feel like my family and not like visitors or just like Mom's or Nick's family. Mom also wouldn't have to do everything by herself, and we wouldn't be alone anymore. Abuelo starts singing my favorite song, El Corredor de Chihuahua. Sorry. El Corredor de Chihuahua. And motions to me with his guitar. I know all the words, so I start singing along. Mom stands up. She pulls me to the floor to dance with her and twirls me until I start giggling. She finally stops twirling me, and everything keeps spinning for a second. When I can finally see straight, I notice that my whole family is giggling with me too, even Nick. I'm really happy that giggling and smiling is something that doesn't have to be translated. You just know it when you see it. And that is the end of chapter 10. All right, so let's think about what we have learned in this chapter about Stella. So she's nervous for her family to come. She hasn't seen him in 2 years. She's in charge of setting the table. She draws while Nick and Tia Juanice talk in Spanish. She is an artista to her family. When she was a baby, that's when they left Mexico. She tells Pancho Happy Thanksgiving and gives him an extra food pellet. She thinks sweet potatoes with marshmallows are weird. She likes seeing the pictures of herself as a baby. She likes to sing with Abuelo and Nick. Oh, I should make that a capital since that is a specific person in her story. And she thinks things would have been easier in Mexico. All right, then Mom picked up her sister and father at the airport. She takes Abuelo's bag and guitar to Nick's room, is happy singing with her dad, and dances and giggles with Stella. All right, Nick is in charge of watching the turkey, likes being called good looking, and gets along really well with Tia Juanice. Tia Juanice is Mom's sister, wears a lot of makeup, is wearing a crazy patterned sweater and leggings, has wild red hair, used to take care of Nick after school in Mexico City, finished Stella's sentences for her, even though they were wrong, and then tells Stella she is like her second mother. And Abuelo Apolinar is Mom's dad, calls Stella pretty, always brings his guitar. He was in a band in Mexico, plays songs while his family sings, laughs, and dances. And that is the end. All right, friends. So we'll see you back here tomorrow for chapter 11. See ya!